I had the unique opportunity to be present during the riots. I had decided to go down. Actually, I was invited to come and pray over the marchers. I'd gotten a call from the organizers asking if I would come and pray for the marchers before the march began. This was a couple days before. So I made my way downtown to Rosa Parks Circle. I got there at about 15 minutes in advance, and as I arrived, I noticed that people were leaving. And so I couldn't find the organizer, and I was led to believe that perhaps things were taking a different turn. And so I just kind of stood there on stage and watched as people began to head south on Monroe and then make a left, which is going east on Fulton. And everything in my mind said they're going to the police department, because at that time throughout the country, that's what most protesters were doing. They were going to the police station. Mm-hmm. So I jump in my car and I drive back over in that vicinity. I end up parking a little bit farther up Fulton near Lafayette. And I walk down to the corner of Fulton and Division. And I sit and I just watch as the crowd grows, and they literally had the police station surrounded. I'd say a fair guesstimate would be about 3,000 to 5,000 people.
Yeah, it was a big
crowd.
The daytime protest was definitely pretty big.
Yeah, it was significant in size. So I stood around for like an hour or so, and very peaceful protest. They were chanting, and that was that. So I get home, and I get a call from some folks in the community who were down there and say, "Hey, Commish, you might want to make your way back down here. It's getting kind of chippy." I said, "What's up?" They said, "Well, I know that there's some folks who are trying to get into the back of the police department. They're trying to pull up the overhead door." Mm-hmm. And then I got another call saying, "Commish, they actually put chains on the outside doors of the police station on Monroe Center." And so I headed back down, and I was looking for the city manager, and he was in the what's called the Emergency Control Center. I think I forgot the proper name. Anyway, that was in the police station, so I couldn't get to him. So he said, "Why don't you just go to the City Hall, because I know the mayor was coming back down too." So I came back down there. So I reached out to the mayor. I said, "Hey, heading back down. Are you heading back down too?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "You mind if I join you?" She said, "Cool." So we sat in her office and we watched the television footage, and we saw the damage that was being done. Mm-hmm. And we both had made the decision that we were going to go and walk. We're going to walk the streets. And so also Brandon Davis came down. He's heading the gentleman who heads up oversight and accountability. He was there too. So the three of us walked the streets of downtown Grand Rapids about 1:30 in the morning. And we saw the damage that was being done.
Right.
And to your point, you said it earlier, the rage, you could feel it, you could see it. It was like nothing I've ever experienced, because usually this is stuff that you see on television happening in other cities.
Yeah, surreal for sure.
Very surreal. And folks were just going ham on windows and public property, and just, if it wasn't bolted to the ground, brother, they were picking it up and throwing it. Mm-hmm. It was wild. And to your point, I would suggest that it clearly wasn't just those who had been historically marginalized who were doing the damage. In fact, I think it's fair to say it was a lot of folks who just, in some ways it was their profession. Mm-hmm. And so...
They're there for a good time.
Yeah. And so we walked, and every other time, every other building, the mayor would say, oh my gosh, because of the damage that was being done. But again, there was a feeling that I had. Like, you could feel it in the air. You could hear. Dude, I want you to just imagine, it's like there's no music. There's the sounds of the city, which is inclusive of broken windows, stuff being smashed, car alarms going off. You could just, It was surreal, right? One of the oddest, strangest, and coolest things was, as we're walking, and we all have masks on, right? As we're walking, people are like driving by, and they're saying, "Mayor, is that you?" They recognized the mayor, bro. And they pulled over and they came over and they started talking to her. And she availed herself and listened. And they apologized. They were like, we're down here because of this and that, and we're down here because we're tired of being treated the way, we're tired of being mistreated. We're tired of the police. I mean, they had a litany of reasons why they were down there, but very apologetic and said it was nothing against you, Mayor. That happened like 3 times, bro. It was like people just like literally slowing down, looking at their car and just coming. And so that was, I think, an opportunity for people to recognize the mayor as very human, very much, in touch and available.
Yeah.
I then, we then walked back to City Hall, and the mayor had to head upstairs to finish up a statement that she was going to make. Brandon and I left, and I went home, and I stayed up until about 4 o'clock in the morning. I did 2 interviews, one with Wood TV, one with Fox 17 by phone. Got up at like 7 o'clock in the morning, went back downtown for the, just to watch the cleanup. And to your point, if there was as much energy and effort and just pure determination put towards some of the more complex and big issues of the day, if that same energy was put toward those things, I believe it would solve them. Because to your point, bro, it was like people were, it was everything from, I saw people on their hands and knees scrubbing. It was like on the sidewalks, right?
Yeah.
And so, it was that evening, that night when it happened, I tell people, at least for me, my life changed, man. My life changed. I was on an emotional roller coaster. And to some extent, I still am, but for that first month thereafter, man, bruh, it was, I would just have these fits of just sadness and just being overwhelmed because everything was coming to a head. I'm working diligently to be a historian, and so, in particular, about the African American experience. And so, to your point, I understand why. I understand the rage.
Yeah.
I understand the language. I understand the plea for equity and for justice. I get it. But to see it happen and to be there present and to hear not just the side of those who want justice, but those who feel like, hey, you need to get those folks under control. And we were hearing it all.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I get it.
From our perch. We just, and so it was, it has not, my life has not been the same since.
The Full Exposure Podcast is brought to you by Metro Health, University of Michigan Health, and Dr. Peter Hahn, in appreciation of the creative and artistic visionaries who enrich our lives through cultural connections.